Hi, everyone. First of all, I'd like to welcome you on behalf of our group number 1, which includes Branimir, Claire, Greta, Stefan, Terita, and myself. Next slide, please. So, thank you. Before we move on to the case study, we'd like to say a couple of words about Hilti as such. Hilti is a top-level company which not only produces the tools for constructions, but provides software, services, and innovation system solution of productivity, cost control, construction safety, equipment management, engineering. The management of Hilti set the goal to move from a seller of power tools to a B2B solution provider and launched the system of Hilti Fleet Management, which has covered the following aspects: providing complete solutions, free of charge servicing and repairs, back office efficiency, holes as a service, and theft coverage. Next slide, please. Looking at the Hilti business model, we need to say that the crucial value creation partners are wholesalers and retailers, and also, which is really important, digital data providers. We could indicate the following core competencies of Hilti: all-inclusive and one-stop service, a deep understanding of customers' problems and the provision of tailor-made solutions, providing complete solutions offer, and the maintenance and leasing contracts. The customer relationship is based on strong customer loyalty and the customer-oriented all-round service. The Hilti unique selling position is formed on the aspects of daily contract with customers, great product quality and easy-to-use principle, customized solutions, planned payment, free of charge servicing and repairs, loan tool service, and theft coverage. And now I will give the floor to Branimir.
Thank you very much. So to proceed with the analysis of Hilti, which you have at hand, first we can have a bird's view of an overview of the Hilti's active patent portfolio. As you can see, there is a considerable number of almost 2,000 patent families, and those are mostly what they're covering is dating back from their classical business model. So they're covering their machine tools, mechanical elements, and they are more than the half of the whole of the patent families. They are covering with those patents. They are covering their main markets. So as you can see there, the top 10 markets which they are covering with their patent portfolio. Of course, the United States one being one of the main, or being actually one of the most considerable and significant markets which they have. So what can we see from this? The conclusion we can draw and we can get is that there is a steady patenting activity which is ongoing, and this means that they obviously have a long-going history of working together with the IP. And have they main markets? Of course, as I mentioned, United States, but of course Europe as a core one is also relevant for them. But as you can see from the map, they have expanded globally as well. Now we can delve more into detail into the next slide, and this was actually to look into more detail in one of the patents which this group was examining. The number of the patent you can see printed on the screen, and it's about, so that you have kind of an overview of it. It's about the pneumatic striking mechanism and control method. Basically, it sounds very dry, and I will spare you about the details, which are, let's say, highly technical. But what you need to do here, or you need to know actually, is to have in mind what are the key technical features which this patent is revolving about. So first of all, it has the solutions which is implementing, or the advancements which they have internally, is that it reduces significantly vibration and the recoil effect. And as anybody who didn't even need to work with such an equipment, but you can visualize it, the vibration and the recoil in such a heavy equipment is something which is very consistent and present, and this is a problem. So reducing in that area is quite beneficial. Then more technical aspect would be also to adapt automatically the movement, the piston movement speed, which then reflects, or this is reflected to the particular hardness of the dry surface this machine tool is applied to. Of course, it's a wall usually. And further on, there's enabled resonant operations. But let's not move to that. But anyway, what we find important here. So what these technical features tell us actually, but what's the use case then that we can have? So what does it help us for? What does the customer and the user, how does it feel, and what's its effect on him? And this is important. So basically, we thought that here we had that increased safety and performance and ease of use. That's the use case that we want to have. Because why? Because those features which I just explained before, they make sure that they enable the reducement of any physical stress, and therefore, by having it more neutral in that type of let's say effects, they increase the safety, because they increase safety because they inherently reduce the possibility of risk, possibility of injuries, and therefore it increases safety. Of course, the user comfort goes with it, because user comfort, this is something which also goes together with this, and this is also beneficial for the Hilti's user, which expects and finds the premium product. And in the end, of course, when you have reduced physical stress and improved user comfort, then actually it leads to the improved performance, which one can expect from the user who is using this kind of a tool and kind of equipment, which altogether is quite beneficial to have overall. Moving on. Okay, here we can look into more detail. We delved quite much into detail, especially our team members who are very proficient in using or in developing or actually diving deep into the patent document. I won't go much into detail here, but you can just see that the first paragraph, you can see what's the mechanism in more detail. So if you're wondering what about that is. And secondly, what you noticed is just in the prosecution history of this patent, that there are some kind of that there are cases, and when you're prosecuting a patent, where you need to really make sure that your prosecution team is working in sync, because otherwise there can be some discrepancies within the patent documents which you have. So here you can see that those two drawings should be the same, but you could observe, if you look at the item which is listed under the arrow number 27, this one has been differently described in the two documents, actually in US and the EP one. But this is just an Easter egg we wanted to point out to you. This is not relevant for our use case, but it's something interesting, and we wanted to share with you this information. Thank you. Moving on.
So the question now was, what are the other Hilti systems relevant with the same use case? So the use case we identified was construction safety. So we found out in the Hilti brand of product, range of product, several families related to that use case. There are namely 4 of them. One is called the ATC AVR technology family for active torque control and active vibration reduction. The other one is DRS, dust recovery system. They have a family called EXO-01, which is an exoskeleton, and they have a Hilti safe set. All of them have technical effects that are improving the safety for the user, for the employee of the Hilti customer, either reducing kickback or power tool vibration for the ATC AVR family, reducing workers' exposure to silica dust that is generated when you drill holes in walls. They have the exoskeleton to reduce the upper body fatigue when people are working all day with the arms over their head. And they have the Hilti Safe Set, which is cleaning the hole when it is drilled and not after, which is also increasing the safety. So the customer benefit for Hilti's direct customer is better working condition for their workers, and thus higher safety on site. This leads to reduction in the injuries of the employees, the reduction in the sick leaves, and thus also in increased staff loyalty. So we were looking for patents related to this use case. So I took two examples. So for the DRS, the dust reduction systems, they have many patents. And here are a few examples of the latest released one with some dust collecting device, but also some of them are dealing with how to predict when to change the filters for better maintenance of the dust collecting device, and how to better separate the dust and so on. And the second one I want to draw your attention to is the exoskeleton. As I said, this is a system to help workers that are working all day with their arms on top of the head to reduce their pain, which is leading to long professional illness, and which is bad for Hilti's customer. And they have patented relatively recently at least 5 patent families around this concept. So I now lend the floor to my next colleague, which is Stefan.
Thank you, Claire. We were also having a look on further protection instruments that were available to Hilti in order to protect the use cases that we were working on, specifically on safety and user experience here, on how to handle the tools. And we identified basically 7 aspects that we will do a deep dive on. First of all, obviously the trademarks, my favorite topic, as you know, designs, copyrights, PGIs, protected geographic origins. We also had a look at industry standards, and then cooperation agreements, and last but not least, where we didn't do much of a deep dive, is the trade secrets. We had elaborate discussions on that in previous lectures. So if we now deep dive on the trademarks, whoever can click. There we are. If we now do a deep dive on the elements of the trademarks, you can see that Hilti is really protecting quite a lot of the use cases. So we're not only protecting the company brand Hilti and certain visuals that they use, including the toolboxes, but they really focus on getting a full protection on the safety and user experience element. For instance, the ATC, the AVR, and the Safe Set are 3 examples that they have globally registered as trademarks to protect all the functions that Claire already presented to you, to really build a system, a holistic view, almost 360, to communicate to the buyer and user that Hilti is making a difference here with the investments in safety and user experience. Interfaces, non-technical parts of the machine also, they registered a lot of design rights on their portfolio, starting from the machines itself, and also including the toolboxes. I did not find a specific one on the user case of safety and security, but it's only a matter of time that they go in this direction. Copyrights, it's very much linked to the elements that they apply in their apps as a technical means to manage the tools, but also in certain cases on the tools itself. Here are some icons presented to you that Hilti created to communicate the function or the benefit in a particular way or form. Then PGIs made in or developed in, we are all well aware of these in the consumer goods industries, but also here for Hilti could be applicable. It's either developed or designed in the European Union or a certain degree also in Switzerland, so they could apply PGI icons. Fifth, the industry standard. We found a quite interesting case from Hilti's competitors on the battery technology. I will deep dive on this in a bit. And then last but not least, the industry cooperation aspect. We all know the Intel Insight sticker on your laptop. So if you're not using a Mac, just check your laptop now and you see that there is a quite degree of cooperation with that particular player in the computer industry. But we also see similar aspects based on the Android software for smartphones, or now in more recent days when it comes to a lot of consumer goods that it is compatible with Alexa. So Hilti could definitely go also the direction of forming these industry alliances to leverage their reach also for their own products. So if we now go on the next slide and looking at the trademark portfolio that they have, we see that it's quite an extensive portfolio of more than 400 active trademarks and also close to 24 pending trademarks, with a focus clearly on the word marks, but also a lot of combined, which is word and figure trademarks. But really, Hilti over the time went deep into the trademark portfolio and registered let's say non-traditional trademarks. And the most important that we believe we should share here is obviously the color trademark that they have, the Red RAL 3020, that is really defining the machines and the toolboxes of Hilti and makes them stand out on any construction site. What we have also here specifically on the safety stuff, it's these mentioned elements on the torque control, vibration control, and the like, so that they are able to communicate the safety aspect and the consumer experience also in terms of trademarks. So if we go on now and look on Hilti, how they perform with their competitor in two dimensions. First of all, the trademark reach geographically, and secondly, the trademark portfolio, meaning how many trademarks they have registered. We clearly see that they stand out of the pack. They have by far the widest reach in terms of the geography, but also in terms of the portfolio. If you check the individual numbers of trademarks, and not geographic reach, Hilti really stands out. Ivan Stock, on the contrary, has a very limited trademark reach and trademark portfolio consisting basically of 2 or 3 trademarks only. So Hilti really driving the industry in terms of the usage of trademarks. So we go on now and look at designs. I was quite surprised to see that the Hilti also has more than 200 active designs registered, designs for machines, for elements of the machine, in particular the battery, but predominantly also on the containers, toolboxes for the machines, which makes it unique in the way that they can transport and carry the tools on the construction site. But they didn't stop there. Honestly, they really went far, also protecting the storage racks, where you can put the machine and then maneuver it around the construction site. So really, Hilti has a full understanding on the importance of designs when it comes to construction tools. Again, I did not find a specific design on the safety feature, but I think it's pretty linked to the fact that the safety feature comes out of the machine, and it is not a machine element per se. So if we go on now and have a look on PGIs, Hilti is not using any of them, but one of their competitors here, we used Ibenstock, clearly communicates the origin of the products as produced in Germany on the tool to basically leverage the good reputation that in this case Germany has in terms of developing and manufacturing tools. Hilti didn't do it. Maybe it's because of the flexibility that they want to have in terms of choosing a production site inside the European Union, outside the European Union, or maybe they did some research on shopping behavior and found that this is, at least for their core target group, is not a significant criteria to use. But they could definitely start doing something similar. If we move on now and look at industry standards, so Hilti, at least that's my understanding, is not really pursuing an industry standard by opening up their IP portfolio. But we had an interesting case coming from Metabo-Werke, a German company with the brand Metabo, relatively small player in the industry, but making a huge difference in terms of designing battery packs and registered in it as a trademark. CAS for the usage by other industry players, meaning competitors to Metabo, but also competitors to Hilti, and it was quite interesting to see that Mafel and Eibenstock, two of the clearly well-positioned players in the market, made use of this standards. So from the user's point of view, you basically buy one driller from Metabo, and you buy something else from Eibenstock and something else from Mafel, and you can use the battery packs that come with the machine also on the other machines. You don't need to buy, if you want to have a second battery pack at high prices, a replacement battery pack like you need to do with Hilti. So you can really play around and have the full flexibility in terms of battery usages if you use more than one brand. So while Hilti is pursuing a lock-in strategy and driving sales and accessories, presumably with high margins, I think that Metabo made the exact opposite move, trying to define an industry standard, in a way a dominant design, to secure their business over there, and to a certain degree it works here. It's pretty much the Tesla approach that we know with the battery packs that they did. And we move on with the next, presenter on industry trends in the power industry.
Thank you, Stefan. The last aspect of the case study we looked at was ways in which this particular use case could be expanded by Hilti, and also the ways in which intellectual property rights can be used to protect these aspects of the use case. Firstly, we wanted to look at what the innovation trends in the power industry were at the time and at this time. And we saw that the trends revolved around battery technology, drive technology, networking and digitization, systems and complete solutions, machine optimization, health and safety, and processing of new materials and services. And interestingly enough, if you look into all of Hilti's products and tools, they have basically touched on every single one of these trends. If you look at the next slide, we looked at specifically for our case study, how we can expand on construction, health and safety. As Branimir would have mentioned, our particular pneumatic striking device deals with different aspects in terms of use cases. So it deals with health and safety, with ease of use, and also in terms of performance. So in terms of our expansion, we wanted to look at what the health and safety trends were to see if we can make our product even safer. So different trends in this particular industry include the ergonomics, the lightweight construction, vibration, noise reduction, dust-free operation, and sensors. And if you go to the next slide, we could look at what our particular device covers. So our device is ergonomic, it is lightweight, it produces less vibration and less noise. So in terms of further expansion, we considered a dust-free operation and sensors, which were the other two trends in the particular industry. And if you look on the left here, you can see this is an excerpt from Hilti's website, and it says putting safety center stage. And so in terms of expansion of our use case, we thought that we can take this health and safety use case and make it even safer. So if you look on the next slide, we have two examples here from Hilti's list of products and services that they provide, in which they actually have increased the safety. So firstly, in terms of sensors, they have the Hilti's wireless HCS concrete sensors, and you can see there's three aspects of it here where they combine the particular device with an app that they can use. And what this does is that it keeps track of the concrete's temperature, its maturity, and humidity. So it increases safety in terms of where you can have a sensor to detect all of these aspects. And on the right here, there's the Hilti's Safe Set that Claire would have mentioned earlier. And what this does is that it automatically cleans the hole, and this immediately reduces the silica dust that you will get when you're cleaning. And what we thought was particularly interesting with Hilti is when you look at a lot of their ads, you see a lot of women using their tools. And we did a little research into it and realized that Hilti has recognized the importance of women in the construction industry. And so they place a lot of focus on use cases that could also appeal not just to the male demographic, but also the female demographic. And of course, in terms of health and safety, this would be one particular aspect that the female demographic would, gravitate towards. And so we thought that the combination of these two uses into our pneumatic striking mechanism could definitely be a great expansion in terms of the use case. I will now hand you over to Greta, who will show you different aspects of expansion of the use case and how we can use intellectual property rights to protect these aspects.
Thank you, Tarita. So further expansion, what we see could be useful for Hilti. So continue networking and digitalization. So focusing on the smart tool. So tracking of battery status, status detection and repair maintenance, digitalized controls, so on the direct relation with a tool person. Then battery technology, also as Tarita mentioned, is trends, so continue in this way, improvement of the battery capacity, battery safety features, for example, preventing from overheating, and batteries also suggest for users batteries recycling process, because it's also users have a problem with this recycling processes. And the last but not least, what we thought that it could be, the Hilti could suggest a training academy app for the users to create this users community, users network, and to collect users experience. Next slide, Claire. And here we just can see how IP can be used to gain competitive advantage in the market by blocking competitors and creating exclusivity for Hilti users benefits. So patents, we can protection with patents, so technical solutions, and digital patents or digital solutions, tracking, predictive maintenance, manipulation. Then trademarks, all names of the features, names of all specific solutions. And Stefan mentioned a lot about this, how it is used. And industrial design, protection, so all design the product features, sensors, snaps, maybe depending on the user's needs, it could be also in different shapes and forms, and all graphical interfaces of apps. And then copyright and sui generis, so we have apps, so a lot of data sets that we can collect and everything, software, every technical content and instructions, and also to use the protection for the trade secrets, so all confidential background intellectual property and all specific knowledge what company has. And next slide. And conclusion, so we observe the key success factors of Hilti, that it has strong brand, innovation and quality, product quality and flexibility, and that allows Hilti to apply innovative business models with employing complementary assets, IP protection, focusing on users' experience and personalization, and to create unique selling proposition for users to get competitive advantage in the market. And next slide. So thank you for your attention, and thank you, Group 1.